everyone. I am live here in Toronto, Queen and Church Street, and I'm just going to be walking into this church here. This is the Metropolitan United Church, and they are having what they are terming the Elbows Up event. Charlie Angus, my favorite MP, that's sarcastic, is the one of the event hosts, organizers. So I'm going to take you in, and I'm in all my Canada stuff, so they won't, probably Charlie won't recognize me. So I'll take you in, and we'll see how long I'll stay on this live stream. Nancy Drew is inside. She's live streaming, I think. Oh, I don't know if she's live streaming now, but she will be, I think. Anyway, here we go. Wait a sec. Here we go. Did you get it? Did you get
them crunching away?
Oh, yeah?
Now they follow me around, so I
carry peanuts. Okay, they know you, huh? Hi. Hi.
So we're going to start with a land acknowledgement before we get into the meat of the meeting, and of course we will introduce ourselves. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I just want to pause for a short moment here for all of us to just think for a moment, reflect on the land acknowledgement and what it means to each of us. So my name is Lynne Brooks. I'm a planner. I'm a landscape architect. I worked with the city of Toronto for over 35 years, and I lived in the city for almost 40 years. So I'm definitely, it's in my blood now. Didn't start here, but it's definitely in my blood now. I'm my co-chair.
I'm Theo Lansman. I work in Florida Housing here in Toronto. I'm really glad to be the co-chair here tonight, and I look forward to a great night of conversation and community building.
It's the first time Theo and I have met in person, so it's very nice to meet you. There are also several members of the steering committee for Elbows Up Toronto who were here this evening, and I'm sure you'll see them and have a chance to speak to them later. The idea of this group was started because of an email and an article in Spacing Magazine that was put together by Ken Weaver. I know you've heard of this, and I'm sure many of you know him and heard of him. And in that, both of those pieces, Ken really called for us to collectively push down using originality and resourcefulness as a city and as citizens of the city. He also noted that in times like this, when we're entering into a trade war and facing some of the other challenges with the government of the United States, that really a lot of those battles will be fought in the cities. That's where the majority of our population is, and that's where a lot of the action will take place, and hopefully a lot of the solutions will come forward. Now, we are here together so that we can work together on actions. Elbows Up Toronto started with a group of like-minded individuals from very diverse backgrounds, getting together, talking about what actions could we take, how could we engage people, how could we work together cohesively on solutions. Although we're not part of Elbows Up Canada, we certainly support Elbows Up Canada, and like them, we are nonpartisan and we're not anti-American. I'd like to pass this on to Theo.
And I'd also adjust here. I'd also like to add that I'm really thankful to be included by the original steering committee in this meeting. They reached out to a number of young people to be involved in organizing this meeting, and I think that was a really great meeting. It exemplifies what we're trying to do here today. For a lot of young Canadians, we hear in the news that we're maybe not as identified with Canadian pride, and we kind of lack the passion for our country that older generations have. And including me and a number of my young colleagues in the crowd have helped organize this meeting. The connection between younger and older generations and just this sense of community we felt with the steering committee has really kicked off this initiative in a really strong way for me personally, and I'm hoping that that kind of, those bonds between different groups, older generations, younger generations, all kind of Canadians will be shared here tonight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to lots of great speakers and lots of great conversation. So with that, we kick off our inaugural Elbows Out Toronto speaker, Mr. Charlie Angus. As you can see by Mr. Angus's rock on symbol, he is a punk rocker, politician, and an author. He has been a member of Parliament for James Bay for the last 21 years, and he's the author of a number of books, including Cobalt, Cradle of the Demon Metals, and most recently, Dangerous Memories, Coming of Age in the Decade of Greed. He is now head of the Resistance, speaking out for Canada.
Is it on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am so thrilled to be here tonight. This is incredible. What do you want? You got reverb, you got a problem, is it good, is it bad? Oh, what's happened when you step inside a church? No, but seriously, I learned my first politics in a church.
We need to get another microphone.
We need another microphone?
Is better?
Is this better?
I've never.
Oh, here we go. Is this on? Is it off? Come on, guys. I've never had a problem being heard. I just want to say that I've dreamed about this moment. And I didn't know if this moment was possible. Because I don't know about you, but I have been so afraid. Afraid that we were disconnected from each other. Afraid that we were going to be swamped by disinformation and bots and fear of our neighbors. That we came out of COVID, a nation that survived the worst threatening pandemic since 1917, and yet we didn't come out of it united. We came out of it afraid of each other. And we stopped meeting each other. And we thought, well, if we got engaged, well, we'd sit there in our jammies and talk on Zoom to each other. And my daughter said to me the other day, Dad, you can't change the world on Zoom. You can only change the world by reaching out to people and agreeing with people that you disagree with and meeting people that you wouldn't otherwise meet and building community. And they thought that was revolutionary. And that's what we used to just do. And I was afraid that we would not do that again. Because before we get into this, and it's not a trade war, this is an attack on who we are as a people. This is an attack on our nation. This is an attack on our history. This is an attack on the fact that we are an inclusive, diverse, equity-loving people. And they want to destroy us. So before I get into those terms of engagement, I just want to say, like you, I woke up the morning after the Trump election. And I was terrified because I realized something fundamentally had gone wrong. Something was broken. And I realized that no politicians, and I'm a politician politician, but no politicians were coming to save us. We had found ourselves at this dead end because we had allowed ourselves to become disconnected from one another. And we need to do fundamental steps before we take on the fascists. Those fundamental steps are we have to rewire our brains so that we're not doom scrolling, that we're reaching out and we're touching each other and talking to each other. That was our first step we had to do. The second step was we had to get out and find each other. And this is why I'm so excited, because this is what Canada has done. This movement that you're seeing elbows up was not run by any leader. It was run by ordinary people who just said, no, you are not going to take my country. No, I am not going to give into fascism. And no, I'm not going to buy your goddamn products ever again if you threaten us as a people. And every day I get messages from people who are just organizing amongst themselves, building a movement. Because what we're facing, my friends, is an existential threat to who we are as a people. And I was just in Europe at the NATO meetings. I went there hoping that I was going to be reassured. Because in Germany, is going to say, hey, Donald, Canadians are our allies. I thought our friends in France would say, you're a NATO country, we'll be there. And I thought the United Kingdom, yeah, all the people we sent over to save them, and none of them stood up. And I realized we were alone. Nobody was coming to save us. But I also realized then, yeah, when we were 11 million people, we came and saved you. And we will save democracy again, because it's a dirty, rotten job and nobody else wants to stand up for it. They always gave the Canadians the vote. Give it to us now. We will defend democracy right now. And I'm not saying that to boast, because Canadians don't boast.
Sorry, I had to step out for a minute.
Every single day from people around the world.
This isn't an easy job.
We're watching Canada.
not gonna make you
and we
puke.
wanna be like Canada, because
This guy's
Canada is
dangerous,
the front
man.
line of the defense. And the front line of that defense is you. It's the decisions that you are making. The decisions you made to say, no, we're not going to travel, even though we, family, we wanted to go to New York City this summer. We love New York City, but we're not going back because it's a fascist country. And as long as we're fascist, we're not going back. We're not going back. And I've been amazed when I go to stores in Northern Ontario and I watch people checking the products. That might seem like a small thing, but it's not. That's people power. The power of the boycott. It began back in Ireland. The boycott was Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks in Montgomery. That's what brought down the racist state. It was the boycott. It was people saying, we are not giving our money to something that's wrong. And I know we wish somebody would come and wave a big wand, and I know we all wish that we weren't in this, but we are in this, and this is the fight of our lives. Roll over. If we don't roll over, he's going to get angrier. If we stand up to him, it's either going to be us or them. But they are divided, and they are angry, and they're fearful, and they're fighting amongst themselves, and we as Canada, we are Team Canada. I will take those on any day of the week, any day.
This is why we're in trouble, folks.
And the amount of Americans who write to me every single day and say, we want to be elbows up too. We have to take back our own country. And we're watching you defend yours. So we are the front line, my friends. So there's a lot of serious issues ahead of us. And we are going to be in for some dark, dark moments. And people are going to suffer pain because we are dealing with an aggressive, hateful enemy where we used to have friends. But let's think about what it is that they really hate and they want to take. They want to take our water. They want to get access to the Arctic. Is it for them or is it for Vladimir Putin? Who knows? They want our critical minerals. Daniel Smith's more than willing to break the country up to give them our oil. And she's the total, yes. But I want to say, the people of Alberta are as loyal as we are. They cannot divide us from each other. I'm going out to Alberta next week. Alberta is like us. It's Daniel Smith and the kids things that we got to name and we got to shame. But there's one other thing that I think is more fundamental that they want to take from us. They have these terms. Woke. You know that if you woke up, that's somehow bad. Because they wanted everyone sleepwalking to the edge, and we were sleepwalking. But we're not sleepwalking, we're wide awake, so we're woke. Right? And I had this Putin troll accused me of being Antifa.
Well, it sounds like they're talking about
First
you,
time I got
Daisy.
accused of being Antifa, I had to ask my daughter, what's an Antifa? She said, it's anti-fascist. I'm a Canadian. I come from a long way, Antifa. My uncle's kicked Nancy ass all over Europe. That's who we are. We're anti-fascists. Yeah, you don't like that. We don't, when we step up, it's the Juno Beach gene. We don't stop until it's done. So yeah, I'm Antifa. Now they got a new term. I thought it was DUI, which is something that all the Republicans know a lot about. And they're not mad about DUI because that's about them, but it's DEI. So again, I had to ask my daughters, what's DEI? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Right? When you got a government run by
He's more
white
than a
men who are
clown,
afraid
he's
of
dangerous.
pronouns, what do you think they're going to do with a nation of people who believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion? We terrify them. Yeah, because we don't care who marries who in Canada. And we live by the rule of law in Canada. And we terrify them. That's what they want to take from them. And that's what we're not going to let them take. So I'm just going to end on this. We are peaceful. But we aren't going to be nice about this. This is the fight of our lives. And we're going to have to fight hard. What's that thing? F-A. That's another one. I don't quite get it. I'm not going to say it because we're in a church. But Canadians have to be willing to fight. Canadians have to be willing to hold our ground. Because we're going to defend who we are. We're going to defend our democracy. We're going to defend our decency. We're going to defend the fact that we are a nation of inclusion in comparison to a nation of fascists. Not. And we're freaking them out. What did Pete Navarro say the other day? Well, come on, Canada, stop with all that hockey stuff. Like, you're scaring us. You're scaring us? We haven't even got over the ice yet. Wait till you see the bench clearing brawl. Yeah, we're going to have to be tough. We're going to have to be mean. Because we're going to defend that border of decency. We will always defend it. We will never give an inch. We will never bend. We will never break. We will never kiss that gangster's ring because we are true. We are North. We are strong. And we are free. And we are elbows up right now.
Okay, I think that's it for me for a little bit.
You didn't mention about the work with Indigenous people. I really do respect the people, the good Canadians here. I'm an Indigenous woman and I'm very torn. I don't know if there's other Indigenous people here. It's not about that.
Would like to, I think that's a very important question, but we will take questions when all four speakers have spoken, and maybe someone will answer.
About your work with Indigenous people and how you think that your travels will be inclusive of our struggle. Now that you know, Canadians, what it's like to have people turn on you. Because it's always that same struggle with Indigenous communities. You have to learn to decolonize. And I somehow this may be a blessing because somewhere along the line, you have to reconcile with the Indigenous people of this land. People going there from my home, North Toronto, who've been in marches and stood at the front line for completely part together. So all I'm saying is don't forget that we have sovereignty and that you have benefited from being on Indigenous land. And if people in Indigenous land pushed off and pushed out of politics, they're fighting just as hard for their lives. They fought genocide. And so remember that everything that you're fighting for right now, we've been fighting for since Columbus stepped on the continent.
I will say that we've been on a journey in Canada where we've been having to confront our dark past. And we're not perfect people and we have committed horrific crimes. But I think it's coming to terms with that makes it possible for us to be able to confront a darker level of fascism. Because I think what we've seen in the last 10 years, and I've certainly seen in the work in James Bay, I've seen work with Shannon Eustachian, with the youth leaders, they made us understand that what Canada is a construction. And our fundamental relationship from the beginning was Indigenous and settler. And our fundamental relationship in 150 years will be Indigenous and settler. How we choose to go on that journey is Canada's question. And America right now is telling us that it's going to be a nation for white men. We've been there. It sucks.
The second is blue.
It sucks. And that's what's going to happen in Canada because, again, I'll tell you, up in Treaty 9 and that, they're saying, just come up, Donald, see what happens. The land will be defended. So thank you, and thank you to the land defenders. Thank you,
It's so dramatic.
Thank you for those words, Charlie. At the start of this event, I said it was sad to see in the media people saying that my generation doesn't have as much pride in our country as older generations. And after hearing Charlie speak, unfortunately, I think I have to agree with him because he clearly has a level of passion and pride for our country that's pretty unmatched. I'm now going to introduce our next
She's
speaker.
supposed to be a star.
Our next speaker will be Marlene Yelnatian. She's Canada's leading progressive economist and an Atkinson Fellow on Future Workers. She writes a bi-weekly business column for the Toronto Star. And I just want to include one headline I saw that they're leading up to this meeting from the Plains. They refer to her as the caring person's honest, a big picture thinker who looks at the way back. So with that, I'll pass it off to Marlene.
Thank you so much. Thank you for including me this wonderful evening. And there is no harder act to follow than Charlie Angus when he's fired up. He's got his elbows up. I'm not going to try and fire you up in the same way. What I'm going to try and do is explain to you why I'm, first of all, coming to to you from a Zoom camera. And the reason for that is because I've got meetings on either side of this evening, and I live in Ottawa, and I just couldn't drive to Toronto or take the train to Toronto and back in enough time. So whereas I would love to be with you tonight, I'm afraid I have to do this way. But really what I want to talk about is if our game is Team Canada against the Russians.
Okay, folks. That's about all I can handle. I'm going to go back in, but I'm not going to keep live streaming. And I may try and get Charlie to get on. I don't want to live stream him, I'll film it. But I don't know, we'll see. I said to Nancy, do you want to see me get kicked out? Because that guy is dangerous. He is, there's something wrong with him. You know, any of us that have encountered Charlie know that he is dangerous. And, you know, he wants to go to war with the Americans. He wants to rep these people up so that they'll go out to war with Canadian or Americans. He's nuts. Anyway, I'm gonna drop this live, and Nancy Drew's was live streaming it on Facebook. I think it's on Patriots for Freedom, and go on to hers if you want to keep watching it. But you know, it just kind of makes me puke, and watching all those people like just, you know, eat it up. So this is, you know, this is what we're dealing with. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go back in, and we'll talk to you guys later. Okay, hey Chris Stacy, he was talking about you. He talked about you, calling you you know, a Putin lover and fascist. So there we go. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Bye. Freedom.